Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a new bill introduced to the Commonwealth wants to give college students more rights for their beliefs on campus. And one state senator is doing their best to push the Ashanti Alert system forward.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6:31 on February 9th, and we have finally made it to Friday. So now let's send it over to meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
And a TGIF to you as well, Olivia. Got the weekend on tap, and yes, tomorrow the prospects of a washout, but hey, it's the weekend and no major cold air that we have to contend with. Outside we look outside our studios here at WYMT. Yeah, some spotty showers and the ash is a little bit more widespread to the east and south of Hazard. Check out the headlines as we'll deal with the rounds of showers and rain heading through this weekend. Concerned about some heavier bursts of rain this time tomorrow morning, perhaps a couple of rumbles of thunder, and then the cooler air for next week. Again, not a knock'em sock'em Arctic blast, but still around 40 versus being, or in the 40s rather, versus being closer to 60. All right, temperature-wise, upper 40s, lower 50s. A pinpoint Doppler radar showing the shower action again from Jackson Point south, eastbound over toward Whitesburg and Pikeville. As we loop the data over the last few hours, you see some drier air trying to settle in. That means the aerial coverage regarding shower activity will shrink. We may be able to brighten up the skies a bit too. We'll pick up the breeze a touch this afternoon and a forecast high close to 60. More about your first alert 7-day forecast in a few moments. Olivia?
Thank you, Tim. Kentucky lawmakers heard debate Thursday on a bill that deals with diversity on college campuses. Supporters of Senate Bill 6 say it's designed to prevent students and staff from having to adhere to divisive concepts and beliefs on university campuses. Opponents say the language is confusing and it could lead to more discrimination. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what took place with the legislation in a Senate committee.
Hi, my name is Rebecca.
Rebecca Keith says she had a bad experience with diversity, equity, and inclusion while a freshman at the University of Kentucky.
Because this is the natural endpoint for DEI, instead of just doing service work and treating everyone equally, you will look at people through the lens of race, ethnicity, sex, and then you will have to prove to UK how much you care about those categories instead of how much you care about those people as individuals.
Keith believes that her conservative viewpoints kept her from a resident advisor's job and caused problems with her professors. Senator Mike Wilson says he filed Senate Bill 6 to prevent viewpoint discrimination and to keep universities from requiring DEI statements on job applications.
Diversity of thought should be welcome in higher education, but what we have seen is a trend across the United States forcing faculty in order to remain employed to formally endorse a set of beliefs that may be contrary to their own.
Discussion and debate with this bill went well over an hour and a half, and there was some talk among some lawmakers, especially those who voted against it, that the language in the bill is confusing, and they say they really aren't sure what the intent of the legislation is.
I'm confused because when I look at the language of this bill, it does not address the issues that you're talking about.
Now that thinking is wrong, because the whole notion, the fundamental notion of DEI programs is that everybody should be included.
The bill passed in committee and now moves on to the full Senate floor. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The bill includes language to allow people who believe they are victims to file claims seeking anywhere from $1,000 to $100,000. Senator David Yates is sponsoring Senate Bill 45, which would establish the Ashanti Alert system here in Kentucky. It's another tool that he says local police departments would and should have in their arsenal. Yates says state police would work with law enforcement to establish that the missing person was taken forcefully and that they are in imminent danger if not found quickly. Guidelines that will help to avoid the alerts from being overused.
I don't have the heart to ever tell a parent, a loved one, to say, hey, we're not going to do it because it might be inconvenient. It's a tool they need. It's something we need to pass in Kentucky. It's worked in other states, and it'll save lives.
Last legislative session, a similar bill failed to gain enough traction to pass, but Senator Yates says this legislation cannot afford another year of waiting. Senate Bill 45 did pass through the Veterans, Military Affairs, and Public Protections Committee last week. It is now on its second reading in the Senate chamber. Senate Bill 125 is aiming to extend an existing resolution involving the use of highway vehicles on roads. WYMT's RJ Johnson talked to Senator Johnny Turner to learn more about the bill.
Senate Bill 125 has been updated throughout the years. Senator Johnny Turner says he initially wrote the bill in the 2000s.
It was primarily initiated by a group of people that wanted it for Eastern Kentucky. It brings in a lot of recreational benefits to the communities. It's been modernized a few times to allow the vehicles to go, originally the old four-wheelers, to go down to the community.
The law is looking to be updated once again. He says with the proposed update, the vehicles will still have to abide by regulations provided by local governments and Department of Transportation.
It has to have insurance, lights, brakes, light mirrors, inside mirrors you can see. It has regulations that really make it a safe vehicle. It's a step above a three-wheel motorcycle.
The added regulations mean this bill could impact the off-highway vehicle trail systems that Turner says are booming.
So it's going to be an ongoing economic thing for the Eastern Kentuckians. It's supported by the Eastern Kentucky legislators, and the organization was formed there in Eastern Kentucky. So, but now it's expanded. It's a great benefit to Eastern Kentucky, and I've been told, and we've been told as legislators, that Western Kentucky is now getting an influx of those. So this bill not only extends it 3 more years,
allowing the off-road vehicles to merge onto the ongoing legislative session. In Knott County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
The bill was passed in the Senate and now heads to the House for a vote. A Bowling Green man was arrested in Laurel County Wednesday after police were reportedly told that he assaulted his mother. 45-year-old Richard Bill Logston is charged with assault, domestic violence, assault police officer as the victim, terroristic threatening, and more. Laurel County Sheriff's deputies say Logston was arrested at a motel near Kentucky 770. A Pike County man was arrested Tuesday. He is charged with rape of a minor. 33-year-old Jeremy Jewell of Pikeville is charged with engaging in sexual intercourse with a minor under the age of 12. The arrest citation refers to an investigation by Kentucky State Police saying the incident in question took place March 6, 2023 in the Sidney community. Jewell was taken to the Pike County Detention Center. Firefighters at one Eastern Kentucky volunteer fire department were dispatched to a scene that the fire chief says they do not see often. But when help is needed, the chief says they are ready to respond. I was able to sit down with him yesterday to learn more about their rescue efforts.
So the fire department got a call that there was possibly a male patient that was stuck under a roof after tearing down a house.
Hindman Volunteer Fire Chief Preston Hayes says the call came in at approximately 3:30 Tuesday afternoon, saying it is a dispatch they do not receive often.
You know, we had to try to find a way to get that person out, which is a challenging and unique call. It's unfortunate, you know, it's something the fire department doesn't do every day. So it really put our training and knowledge to the test to try to remove that victim.
Using hydraulic spreaders, also known as jaws of life, to lift the home. Firefighters were able to relieve the pressure and free the man.
The main thing with that building is we worry about secondary collapse when we have someone entrapped and we're trying to move objects and we're not certain of how stable they are. There's always that risk that something could fall and there could be further injury to the patient or a responder or someone else on scene.
Perry County Ambulance was also at the scene. An EMS official says once the man was freed, he was flown to a larger hospital for treatment.
The name of the man injured has not yet been released, and an official with Perry County EMS says due to him being flown to another hospital, his current condition is unknown. And thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:40. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. President Biden won't face charges over his handling of classified documents, but now an investigation is raising new questions about problems with his memory.